All right, so this is 6 pack of questions with Timmy, and we're gonna go ahead and start with this because I kind of already know the answer, but I'm gonna make you maybe answer it more. When you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a mechanic, a photographer, and a counselor.
What, that's so like you're like I will come pick you up in the car for your counseling sessions and take your picture.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take you somewhere to take your picture.
Yeah. I never wanted to be a hairdresser. That was never the idea.
When did you decide that you did want to be a hairdresser?
So I didn't. I was waiting tables or bartending at one of those jobs that they pulled me from the other job to do. And this girl was like, "Oh my God, I love your hair." I said, "Thank you." And she's like, "Who did it?" I was like, "I did." And she's like, "Well, who cut it?" I'm like, "No, I did." And she's like, "Well, who colored it?" I'm like, "I did." And she's like, "You should probably go to school for that." And I was like, "I never thought about that." And that's how it happened. And then she's like, "You should check out this place in the Woodlands. It's called the Aveda Institute, blah, blah, blah." And then my friend that came home from the military just moved to Spring. And I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go check out this school." And then he's like, "You could just move with me if you get whatever." And so that's kind of how it happened.
So when I was in high school, my best friend taught me to fade my own hair, and I cut my own hair for like a really long time. And then I used to cut my fraternity brother's hair.
Oh, nice.
And so like I've always thought that, oh, maybe I could cut hair, but then like I think I cut somebody's hair, and one of my ex-girlfriends was a hairdresser, and she was like, "This is shit."
Yeah, but
and I was like, "Well, I'm not a hairdresser.
Right,
I'm just trying to I was trying to make it all look even. I don't know."
If you have the basis of it and you've done that, you could definitely learn the in between.
Man, I might change careers.
Yeah.
All right. What do you wish you were better at saying no at? I mean, obviously you already have something, but if you don't want to tell us that one, you can tell us another one.
When I have somewhere to be, like a time frame, and I'm like, I could just squeeze in 15, 20 minutes to show up for someone, because I think showing up is very important. I will put myself out or someone else to show up for, someone's daughter's dance recital, and they don't know that I'm even there. But, I'll do stuff like that. Just in support of someone, and sometimes they don't support me in that way, and I wish that I was better at saying no. But it's like, well, I'm also doing it for the kid, like going to this dance recital for this kid, and their mom may be an asshole, and I'll still do it in spite of I shouldn't. I have a hard time with that.
Well, I'm gonna give you some good news.
Yeah.
Okay. As 7 years your senior, in the next like 5 years, you're not going to give a fuck, and you're just not going to go. You're not even going to tell him you don't. You'll tell him you went. You'll be like, "Yeah, I was there." Like,
I was in the back.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not going. I'm not going. Don't invite me to your birthday parties. I'm not going.
Baby showers, especially. That's another one.
Don't invite Timmy to your baby shower.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I might let you do a couple of these because, well, I don't know if you'll have a couple or not. What fashion trend you followed was very cool, but now looks ridiculous? Because you're a fashionable guy. So I know that, you've bound to look back at some pictures and go like, "Oh, fuck, I wore that."
Yeah, I did. I'm like, why the fuck? It's usually more hairstyles. And I was like, why the fuck did y'all, and being a hairdresser, being like, why did y'all let me think that was okay? More so hairstyles rather than fashion. I'm always, I went out a couple of weeks ago, and I was wearing these old, what the fuck was it? Like Hollister jeans, and they were flared, and they were like boot cut, and I was wearing,
heavy,
just starched up. They're Abercrombie, low rise, boot cut. And someone's like, "Oh, you look nice. I like your outfit." And they're like, are flares or bell bottoms back in style?" I said, "I don't know, bitch. I don't follow trends. I set them." So that was like that, I'm always off with what's trendy, like the Crocs or the, 90s, whatever. I'm like, that's how I dress, because I'm from the 90s. So it's not like a trend or whatever I follow. It's just how I dress. So I don't ever really get on with, and especially like in Victoria, trends are not trending. They're, I'm like, why the fuck are you wearing a Magellan shirt or a fishing shirt and you're, at a fucking basketball game? That doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like sometimes in small towns, it's the only equivalent I can come up with it is like if you go to like a foreign country, like they're just behind in style. Not so much anymore. Now they're like up on shit, but before they'd be like wearing stuff that we were wearing like a couple of seasons or a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's what it's like in a small town. It takes longer for it to trickle down.
I'm like, why the fuck did you come out of your house wearing Crocs with a fishing shirt and cargo shorts? Like, what are you doing? And it's like
comfortable.
But they're going to a dance or they're going to a party. I'm like, that's what you wore to a fucking wedding? I'd be pissed, and like you look around and everyone's like, oh, Hey Dudes are trending. Everyone's wearing Hey Dudes. I'm like,
you'll never catch me in a pair of Hey Dudes.
It's not me.
Sorry, Hey Dude guys.
They're equivalent to Crocs, but they did the same thing with Sperry's. And I was like, these shoes, these are boat shoes. These are water shoes. They've been around for forever. And it's like they paired them with a polo and whatever and called it a look. I'm like, that's not it, sir.
What's the worst hairstyle you've had?
I personally?
Yes. I have a two-part question. What's the worst hairstyle you've had? And then do you think your future you is going to regret your mullet?
This is my second or third one.
Oh, okay, so you're good with it.
Yeah. No,
Or is it a mullet? Is that what I call it?
I don't know. So this is more like European inspired rather than like Texas redneck mullet, and
is there a fancier name than mullet?
Moulet.
Okay.
It's a moulet. It's like Target, it's a moulet. She's a moulet, and I stuck a feather in my ass.
No, I mean, I think it looks great, but I guess so. Okay, what's your worst haircut? And you don't think you're fine with this hairstyle 20 years from now? You'll look back and be like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. What's your worst hairstyle?
Probably when I got a typical boy cut. My mom paid me $20 back in the day when I was 11 or 12, and I used to rock this fucking bob. I remember going to the hairdresser and I was like, shave the underneath and cut it at an angle, and she's like, that's a woman's haircut. I'm like, I don't care. And she's like, you're like 10 or 11, whatever I was. She's like, that's a woman's haircut, you can't have it. I'm like, just do it. And she's like, your mom's gonna be mad. Anyway, so she gave me the haircut and I parted my hair to one side, had the underneath shaved, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this kid doing? You know what I mean? And then after that, my mom was like, can you just have a normal haircut for, you're having school pictures, blah, blah, blah. I want to give you whatever. She's like, I'll pay you $20. I'll give you $20 and pay for your haircut. So she gave me this stupid little like boy come over haircut. And I remember leaving the hairdresser and crying in the shower. I was so upset with how my hair looked. And I guess I was 13 or so, something like that.
Well, here's what's so crazy about that is you might could category probably some of the haircuts you had as like bad haircuts.
Yeah.
But technically you just got like a regular haircut and you were more upset about a regular haircut than you would be like a bad haircut.
Okay, I can tell you about a actual like haircut that I got that was shit.
Okay.
So I had this blue mohawk, and it was a little bit longer on the bottom and, full on top. And I had just colored it blue. And there was this guy, he was new to hairdressing. He was working at a barbershop. He was super cute. We had met at a drag show. I'm just like, I'm always down to give people.
Are you cutting hair at this time?
Oh, I'm the big name in the town.
Okay.
So anytime I try to go get a haircut from anyone, they're like, oh my God, Timmy's here. Like what's going on? Everyone's tightened up and sweeping their station and trying. I'm like, I'm a hairdresser too. Like we're fucking messy. Don't on the account of me. But like you said, I show up and everyone's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What are we doing? So I give this guy a chance and he's like, what do you want to do? And I said, what do you want to do? And he's like, what? I'm like, you can do whatever you want. There's nothing that's gonna. Yeah, so he's like, all right, he gets his shit together and his clippers out, and he just, starts busting it up, and he gets to like fading me, and he's at about a 0 all around. The mohawk's gone, whatever. So I just have this strip of hair, and he's trying to fade it up to there, and it is not it. So he leaves me with this fade, this hair on the sides that's not long enough to do anything, and then this piece of fucking blue hair. It's a horrible. And I was going somewhere the next day to some event or something, and I wore a hat because it was that bad. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, this fucking hair, this dude. And they're like, well, what are you gonna do? I was like, we're shaving this shit off. So I just like buzzed my
Start
hair.
all over.
Start all over, you know, which is okay, whatever. So I see the guy out. I got a bar, he's drinking. He's like, so what do you think about my haircut? I'm like, you want to do this right now? He's like, yeah. I said, a hairdresser comes to you with a blue mohawk, tells you to do whatever you want, and you give me some half-ass, like, there was no fade. There was
Like
no...
Mr. T.
Yeah, it was so fucked up. I'm like, I had to go to an event like that, and I was like, instead of whatever, I had to wear a hat, like in, I guess, a building that I wasn't meant to wear a hat. And I'm like, you could have done so much better than that. Like, next time, show out. That was shit. I'm like, I have no more hair. I shaved it off.
All right. Has anything bad ever happened to you that turned out to be like the best?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like,
well, I mean, when we did the podcast, we kind of talked about that, like kind of you having the mom that you had and then not having a dad allowed you to become like this person. Right. And so you could view that as probably maybe a bad scenario.
Yeah.
But
So the definitely the tough love and the not even tough love, but the upbringing that I had definitely made me stronger as a person, and also the whole like negative thing from growing up in a country setting and being, you know, people being so mean and hateful definitely gave me a thicker skin.
What are the most important qualities you look for in a friend?
Honesty, reciprocation, and trust.
You kind of need them, don't you?
Yeah. You know, luckily I've had not very many people can say they've had friends for 20 years that are my age. Or even, you know, it's crazy when I meet people and I'm like, who's your best friend? And like, well, I had this friend in college and a so-and-so. And I'm like, no, but who's like your person? Who's the, you know, your ride or die, someone you can pick up the phone right now and be like, whatever the most, you know, something that you need, or you know, and meeting so many people, I've learned that a lot of people don't have that, you know, and I say best friend a lot because I have a lot of best friends, and people are like, no, you can only have one best friend. I'm like, I have like 20. There's at least 20 people that I know have my back, you know, take up for me if someone's talking shit when I'm not there, would do anything for me at any time that I need. And it's because those are qualities that I have that they receive from me as a friend.
Well, and I would venture to say you probably show up for them authentically yourself, like for them, right? And so people feel that shit. Yeah. And when they're supported like that, they want to support that back, you know?
Right. Yeah. And it's just the way I was raised. My mother, once again, she was that person. She was always taking someone in. She's always taking food to people. She would go to nursing homes and jails and cut hair for people. She was just such a, you know, show up and show out. She was a very nice human.
You and Chase should do like a tandem at like an old folks home where he like puts on a show and you cut their hair while he's putting on a show. Don't do that. That's a stupid idea.
No, this is not a bad idea. I'm telling him. I'm going to see him in August.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I know. I'm so excited. We're supposed to go see Kelly Clarkson, but the bitch is very proud about her tickets. They're about $300 for shit seats. And if not, I'm like, we'll just be listening to Kelly Clarkson on the way to California, bitch.
Where's she? Is she playing in Vegas?
Yeah, she has a residency somewhere there. I haven't dived, you know, into where she's playing or seen anything, but I know some friends of mine were going. I'm like, y'all are not going without me, bitch. So I got my little ticket, and then check this out. I'm like, fuck y'all for not inviting me. I'm like, whatever. They're like, we're staying with Chase. I'm like, he didn't even tell me that, bitch. I'm like, I'm mad at all y'all. So I get a flight, and I'm like, I'll be in Vegas too at the same time, bitch. And they're like, that's the wrong date. I booked the flight for the week before, trying to show my ass. And I'm like, that's not the date. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh, somebody was like,
yeah.
All right. So last one. What's your proudest accomplishment?
Oh, God.
And let me be fair. I would venture to say you probably have had a lot of proud
Yeah,
accomplishment because
there's-
you've really tried to do things
Yeah,
with your life.
there's a lot.
So, but is there one that kind of really like stands out?
You know, it trickles into a lot because I am proud that I got out of my situation and I became who I am, considering where I came from and how I grew up. You know,
Exactly.
I grew up very poor. I grew up without a dad. My mom died early. Most of my friends, classmates, or people that I grew up with are dead or have like 2 teeth in their mouth. So I was on the same path, you know, and even my brother, you know, who ended up he's in drugs really, really bad. You know, and I just had a heart to heart with him. And I'm like, we came from the same fucking place. You had the same opportunities that I did, which were none. And you know, I pushed and I kept going and I believed in myself. And when I was down and, you know, at my lowest, I reminded myself to be kind to myself. And I think that really helped me. And so those are probably my proudest moments of me picking myself up and moving forward when I could have just easily, you know, gone a different direction.
Yeah, for sure.